Hi, Kate. How are you?
Nice glasses, Scott.
Thank you. Hmm. Well, we had a student in a second ago, and now she dropped out again. How's the sign delivery going, Ty?
It's really good. It's been fun. We haven't seen as many people as we thought we might at this point, but a lot of people are still sleeping and a lot of people are getting out ready to mow their yards and stuff. So we'll probably start seeing more people soon. It's been fun. There's Scott driving. There's Tyler. Hey.
Nice. You at the back seat, huh?
As per usual.
Distance. Social distancing. What did he say?
You're in the back, huh?
I'm just glad you're not in the bed.
I like your new glasses. I'm going to mute myself
Something about
now.
turning 48.
Yeah, I'm going to mute myself now so you don't hear all the wind.
Hey, Ty, where are you going?
Scott and Tyler and I are out delivering senior yard signs. We were actually by your house about 40 minutes ago.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, Amy, I like your
Amy Land.
wall.
Oh, thanks. It might be loud out here more than my normal because my kids, but my daughter has to use the other computer, so that's just the way it is. So Ty, did you guys print all the seniors' pictures on signs?
No, we didn't print their pictures. We just kind of did generic Hillcrest High School senior signs.
Sweet.
So, yeah, it's been fun.
How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you? I'm just checking out all the kids we have on here. I see Spencer and Reagan and Austin and Demick and Paxson. Abby has no picture. And I see this name. How do you pronounce it? Is it Keiki? How do you say your name? I know I just did it wrong.
His name is Caleb Akey.
Oh, it has the C in front of it. Okay. That's hilarious. Looked like Keiki.
Yeah.
Hi, Abby.
Hi.
All right, I'm looking for board members to see who we're missing.
I saw Paul and Chad.
Yeah, I think we should have Paul and Chad so far. Oh, I think Greg's joining right now.
Oh, yeah, I see Greg on there now.
So I think Scott's the only one we're missing.
Hopefully this is
No,
one
it's
of the last times we have to hold all these meetings by Zoom.
Scott just got a hold of me and asked if the meeting was at Thunder Ridge. So I told him it was online.
Thanks, Mary. So should we go ahead and start without Scott? What's the consensus?
I would say yes, Amy.
Okay. All right.
Start on time.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So we'll do a roll call. Chad Dance,
Here.
Greg Calder,
Here.
Paul Jenkins,
Here.
Scott Lynch on yet? Not seeing Scott. He'll be on shortly, hopefully. And I, Amy Landers, am here. We want to welcome our student councils from Hillcrest and Thunder Ridge. So we're super glad to see your faces, and I'm sad that we can't meet with you guys in person, but we're glad that you guys are here with us today. So we're excited to hear from you. We would
Amy, Scott Lynch just joined, just so you know.
Oh, Scott Lynch, you just want to say you're here.
Here.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Okay, we would need a motion to approve our agenda.
I would move we approve the agenda.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Jenkins. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Dance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. The board, you guys have had a few days to look over the consent calendar. Is there anything that needs to be removed from the consent calendar?
Nope.
Okay. If not, we would need a motion to go ahead and approve the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Dance.
Second. I'll second.
I heard Greg first.
Oh,
I heard Scott second. So seconded by Mr. Calder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. And we're going to go ahead and turn the time over to Principal Miller from Hillcrest and the Student Council Advisor Amanda Wade to introduce their student council to us. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to you guys.
Done speaking. Go ahead. You're good. Hey, thanks. We appreciate it. Letting Hillcrest High School present in this format. As you found out, we are on the road driving out, delivering signs to our graduating seniors. Otherwise, I'd be on the computer watching and participating, but I'm on Ty's phone. So I know our student council has worked extremely hard this year and was delivered a curveball at the end of the year, as we all have. They've done a great job of adjusting and still trying to engage students. And I will now let Amanda kind of introduce who will be presenting, and then I think you'll enjoy what our kids have brought to your attention.
Thanks, Scott. So I'm Amanda Wade. I'm the Hillcrest Student Council Advisor. I am so proud of this group this year. They've worked really hard to shift our focus from one that it was very positive, but they're definitely more service-based this year. And I'm very, very proud of the work they've done and their commitment to that message and that unifying drive that they brought to Hillcrest High School. So I'm going to turn the time over now to Spencer Estelle, who is my student body president this year and will be graduating here in the next few weeks. And I will be sharing my screen with you so that you can see an abbreviated presentation of what they've done this year.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
I'm trying to make sure you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you
All
great,
right.
Spencer.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm the student body president at Hillcrest. And so since we have kind of a short time period, instead of just presenting on everything that we usually do, we kind of want to present on the new things this year that we did in student council to serve Hillcrest and the community. And yeah, so you can go forward this way.
Hi, I'm Jamie Hansen. I'm the senior class president. And this year I decided to take a little twist on the Valentine's Day notes that we usually write to everyone in the student body. We decided to do bracelets instead. And kind of the gist of it was that we decided that doing a bracelet that way they could look at the bracelet every day and remind themselves that they have a place at Hillcrest. And we wrote a little note with it. And the note was, every time you look at this bracelet, remember you have a place at Hillcrest High School. Happy Valentine's Day. And we got a lot of positive feedback, and everyone really liked this because even though it wasn't a personalized note, they got a bracelet to remind them that they do have a place and they do matter at Hillcrest. So.
Okay, I'm Reagan Olson, and I'm the female activity leader. This year, our Vice Principal Stalls introduced a new strategy for goal setting to us. It was moving from task-oriented goals to moving to just picking one word and focusing your goals and the things that you were working on that year around that one word. And he implemented this to the staff at the very beginning of the year and then introduced it to a couple of our upperclassmen towards January to start the new year. And we were able to meet as the SBOs, and we were able to make a presentation to present to our student council about picking one word and setting these goals. And we had such positive feedback from our council. We were able to grow as individuals, which later helped us to recognize each other's goals and help us grow as a whole group.
This is us at Student Council State. As you guys know, every year we have a big meeting with all the student councils in Idaho, and it's a lot of fun, but we got the opportunity to present on that one word in front of a massive group of over 100 people. And I think it was really impactful. I think a lot of people walked away with a word and were happy about it, and they really did build off of it. And it was a big chance for us to bond with a bunch of other kids from around the state. It was a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Abby Barnes, and I'm the student body secretary. So in these pictures, it's the people who helped present, a lot of our SBOs and other leaders. We got to be able to split all the kids in the classroom. We got to split them up into smaller groups and use a card activity to help them pick out their one word goal. And a lot of kids came up to us afterwards and were able to talk to us about the goals that they set through their one word. And I thought it was really successful, and it helped us be able to get to know all the other kids and all the other student councils more.
Hi, my name is Caleb Akey, and I'm the student body historian. And one of the hardest hitting things about this is being a senior in this quarantine. And one of our classmates named Natalie Thompson actually took it upon herself to make a senior class video that not just touches for Hillcrest, it is Hillcrest oriented, but it also touched for every senior going through this problem. That if they watch it, I encourage you guys to watch it, but it's a 5-minute video that really just kind of touches on our year thus far. And I think it almost brought a tear to my eye. So yeah, that was a senior video she made.
Hi, I'm Jake Hoover, and I'm the student body vice president.
And I'm Austin Needham, the senior activity leader.
So this year, we tried to focus a lot on being positive in our Legion. Our Legion is our student body that we go to the games, and we tried to be really positive this year.
Yeah, and I think in comparison to last year and the years even before that, I think we had come a long ways. Not trashing on the other team, but really like cheering for our guys and being as positive as we can.
And it's kind of made our been into our big goal of the Legion is to be more positive towards our team instead of negative towards the other. And I think we did really good this year, and it's just gonna keep on getting better and better.
Hi, I'm Demick Hatch. So I'm the student body male activity leader. And so throughout kind of this quarantine and through the challenges of staying home and all that, we've been trying to connect with our student body through social media challenges. And we've done these through our Instagram, our Legion account, and our main school account. So we did one challenge where we have our vice principal wear Saul's, and we would cut out his face or his body, and we placed him in a big picture of the Legion at our basketball games. So it's kind of like Where's Waldo. It was kind of fun to try and find him, and we had students commenting and on the posts, and we got a lot of feedback from it, and everyone said it was fun to just kind of sit there, and you kind of still felt connected to the school without really being with anyone. And then we had our trick shot challenge, which was a learning moment. We didn't get quite as much participation from that. Even though we thought it was a good idea, we ended up not getting a ton of participation, and we just figured maybe students were more geared towards not really having to do much, and they like just kind of sitting on their phone, and because that's more geared towards our generation, and just looking for solves. And so it was a good learning moment, but overall the social media challenges were really fun, and they kept our school unified and together while we're away. And so that's one of the pictures from the Where's Saul's challenge, and that's another one. And we got a lot of good feedback and a lot of positivity from that.
Thanks, guys. So as you can see, the student council this year really took it upon themselves to implement some really positive changes within Hillcrest High School. And I'm so proud of them. It was a big undertaking. And they fought through some pushback from their peers and overcame. And I'm excited to see the changes the senior class has made continuing in our upcoming years. So they've done a great job, and I'll really miss working with them.
Could I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I would just like to thank our awesome student council advisor, Miss Wade.
Oh.
She says that we go through a lot, but honestly, it's because we have such a great relationship with our teacher. She's able to talk with us, and she's able to tell us what we're doing wrong and what we're doing good. But she's really helped us this year, especially with being service-based and things like that. So we're really grateful for her.
Oh, thanks, Jake.
So you guys have done awesome things. I follow some of the girls that are on here actually on Instagram, because I know them from other places, but I've watched the Instagram challenges posting about where you guys, your homework space that Saul's asked you guys to post, and I've kind of followed what people have been doing, and it's pretty active. I was wondering, how many members do you guys have following that account? Does anybody know?
I think the Hillcrest Legion account has around 600 followers, and then the Hillcrest High School has closer to 2,000 or 1,000 followers.
Yeah, and I think I follow the Hillcrest one. I don't know if I'm on the Legion one, but I'm gonna write that down. I need to join that one if I'm not already on it. But Sauls, you have to feel pretty dang special that instead of your Sauls in the halls, they're hiding you in the Legion photos and asking kids where's Waldo? It's kind of hilarious. So any questions from the school board for our Hillcrest Student Council or comments?
Amy, I would just like to congratulate the student council and the entire senior class. And I did watch that video, and I did shed a tear or two. And I'm sorry that this has happened, but I just congratulate you guys for being upbeat, being positive, and just know your voices are important and they're being heard. And we really appreciate all that you've done and the great spirit that is at Hillcrest High School. So thank you very much.
And I did look through your extended slideshow that you guys would have normally presented to us and all the things that you guys did this year. It's just kind of mind blowing how much money you guys have earned off of the different fundraisers that you guys have done. I noticed the Christmas, oh, what's the name of it, where you guys get all the gifts for the families and stuff. You guys earned, I think it was
Adopt a
17.
Family.
Yeah, the
Adopt
Adopt
a
Family,
Family, yeah.
thank you. It was like 17,000, and then something else that you guys did was another 11,000. I mean, you guys are doing amazing things. So you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could, I just want to congratulate the student council body and the students for just, you know, these are unprecedented times. There's been a set of challenges, but I think all of you have risen to the occasion. I felt proud when I watched that video. There was a sense of pride, like, hey, these are some good kids in our areas doing good things. I want you guys to know that. I think, and this situation doesn't have to define who you are. And obviously, you know, the students, it doesn't define who they are, because we've all seen you guys come together and rise above it. And I just want to tell you guys how proud we are of you as a board, and me especially, just watching how you've maintained your composure, how you still are leaders to your peers, and all of you are going to go places and do great things. And we just appreciate you a ton for the efforts and everything you've done this year.
I had a quick question for Spencer. Just wondering if you guys have your plans, like if you guys have met with your principal and what you guys have kind of figured out for graduation.
I can kind of answer that.
Yeah, you got it.
I met with Mr. Miller a few times a week, and we've been deciding a few different things to do. Right now, he had heard of a gentleman in the community who has a semi truck, and a screen comes down off of it, and we were just going to limit a car to each student in the parking lot and have that semi kind of be by the soccer field. And then he was going to make it possible that we could still have each student walk up to get their diploma, but we are kind of still waiting on that. And then we would also have speeches be live. Everything would basically kind of be normal, but just be in your car. So that's kind of what we've decided so far.
Wow. So how many kids are in your senior class?
253.
253. So you guys would have at least a minimum of 253 cars parked right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we're just waiting to finalize everything, and then, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. And I think it's interesting that all of our high schools are planning something just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of different. Well, that's awesome. Do our other board members have any comments or questions?
Question for anyone. What's the most significant thing you've done this year? And while you're thinking about your answer, would you send us a link to the YouTube video to the board, please?
Paul, I forwarded that email from Ty to the board last night about 8 o'clock, and that link is on there.
Thank you.
It's on the same email where the their slideshow presentation was, the extended one. I just got mine this morning.
So I guess I can answer that question. I guess for all of us, and probably everyone would agree, that the most significant thing that we did was adopt a family. We were able to provide Christmas to around 50 families, and we raised $17,000. And we really worked to being service-based and not as our biggest service project. It takes months of preparation, and we work and we fundraise. And I think that in the end, it's always worth it for us to be able to provide to the families in the area.
To add on to that, I think it's also like pretty astounding, not just our student council, how much time we're willing to put into it, but like the student body is so willing to help. Without our student body and our students being willing to, like for the date auction where we raised $11,000 for Adopt a Family, without our student body that's so willing to help, I think it's just really amazing to watch how good the kids of Hillcrest are willing to give away their money and their things for other people that are less fortunate. And so, yeah, I agree with Reagan. I think it's the most amazing activity that Hillcrest does.
If I could add one last thing, I really like how with Adopt a Family, it not just brings together the school, but also brings together the community and, you know, all the businesses that we go to and ask for donations, like all the ladies at the front, and like meeting with the higher ups of the companies. There's like, what you guys are doing is so awesome, and they're like, I'm always going to support Hillcrest. Like, I love Hillcrest for doing, and personal connections. They'll be like, yeah, we need to adopt a family for a year, and it was the most amazing thing. And so it's really awesome just to see, because it's awesome to do it, but to see the benefits from it, and to see how much the community benefits from it is a really awesome thing.
I'm really impressed that the thing that you picked was a service. That's really impressive, guys. That says a whole lot about what Hillcrest is. Thank you.
With your Adopt a Family, did you guys actually get to go and give those gifts to those families?
Yeah, we did. We did it pretty early in the morning, since we do all-nighter where we wrap all the presents. But so we went and delivered them about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, we did go deliver them, and some of us we just laid them on the doorstep, and some of us actually got to go in and see the families. And it's always awesome to see the families and see how grateful they are for all that you've done for them. And it really does pay off all the hard work that you've put to, I don't know, it just is awesome to see families that are happy. And
About how many families did you guys give gifts to this year?
It was in the range of like 55 to 70, somewhere in there. So it was quite a few families, but yeah, it all ended up working out. So
sorry, Jake, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was just going to add on to what Bender had said. Since we were a lot more efficient this year, wrapping presents, so we got to go earlier. But to kind of make up for not seeing the people's faces for some of us, I know that we got to text these people anonymously and tell them that the presents were on their door. I know people in our student council got texts right after saying thank you, but also even getting text Christmas morning, because we do it about a week earlier. And it's just really special to see how much we can help these people. It was super cool.
That's really cool. Is there any other questions or comments from the board? All right. Well, we just want to thank Hillcrest and for everything that you guys are doing. I'm sorry we couldn't meet in person. It's always really fun to see you kids in person, but thank you for hopping on here today and sharing with us what you guys have done throughout the school year that you were able to be in school. And it's pretty awesome that you guys are still continuing stuff with your Instagram accounts and also with your graduation planning. So anyway, I guess I'm just really curious before we hop off with you, before you guys log off of this, just if you could just tell us, the seniors that are graduating, what your plans are for next year.
I can start. I plan on serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I'm hoping to be out there soon, and by next year I'll be out in the mission field.
So you're not leaving this summer?
I am. I plan on leaving, and my availability date is August 10th. So I'm just waiting to get my papers in. So
Good deal.
I'm going to be going to school in the fall. I'm going to head down to BYU in August. So
Where are you staying at, Abby?
Heritage.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. I knew that you got in there. That's awesome.
I'll go next. I'm planning on serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also, and my papers will be going in hopefully this coming Saturday, and I'll be leaving in August. Then after that, I'm just going to, once I return home, I'm going to BYUI.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
I'm planning on heading in June. I'm going to the United States Air Force Academy, and I'm excited to start going there soon.
Wow, that's awesome.
And in the fall, I'll be going to Utah State. Yep.
That's amazing. Did you get a scholarship or did you get a waiver for the out-of-state tuition of any sort?
No, I'm just gonna live there for a year and then get in-state tuition.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first year I'm gonna pay out of state.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Good luck to you though.
Thank you.
What other seniors? Is that all the seniors we have on today?
No.
Caleb.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going to Boise State University.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Are you playing any sports or did you get any scholarships or you just chose to go there because that's where you want to go?
It's not because of sports. I might be able to go in on the practice squad for Boise State Broncos for the football team, which will be really cool. But yeah, it wasn't. It's they have another program. Their astrophysics program is what I like.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got your name wrong earlier, buddy.
No, you're good. It was confusing. Yeah.
Is that all of our seniors that are on for Hillcrest? Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You guys are awesome. Good luck to all of you. Thank you for your service this year and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Thunder Ridge, and Hillcrest, you're welcome to stay on if you want. And if you don't, you guys are welcome to log off. But we're going to go ahead and turn the time over to Principal McLaren and their advisor, Kara Kearsley, to go ahead and introduce their student council.
There, I'm unmuted now. Thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate you and the board and the district office leadership allowing us to present this way. Certainly unorthodox, and I heard your comment to Hillcrest about wishing we could do this in person, and we definitely share that same sentiment. Great job, Hillcrest. You did a fine job on your presentation. It's great to see the united effort that we all have to make a difference for kids in our schools. So I still know a couple of those kids over there when they were freshmen, and so I miss seeing them. I'll just take a minute to introduce Kara and talk a little bit about her and her role as student council advisor, and then she'll, I'm sure, share that, let the student council officers take some time as well. Kara has done a great job. It's kind of a hard position. I'm sure Amanda can relate to that, knowing when to pull in the reins and when to let the students run with what they want to do. But Kara's a nice mix of allowing them to do what they want to do, but still directing them and coercing them back into the middle with things that are practical and and realistic for us to do. But our kids are really gung-ho and they work really hard. And just to give you a little idea of the kind of leader Kara is, as you could imagine, we don't have on-campus voting this year for class officers for next year. We got our student body officers elected right before the shutdown, but our class officers is an ongoing process. And if you can imagine how difficult that might be, these kids can't pass out candy. They can't make root beer floats. They can't put up posters or signs. And that's a huge difference from what they're used to doing. And so Kara's been really effective in working with the students to come up with ideas and strategies and videos and advertisements of how to solicit some votes. So she has met with kids virtually and with parents and is working toward that. So we definitely appreciate her leadership here at Thunder Ridge and all her hard work on behalf of the kids. And I'll turn time over to her to take it from there.
All right, I think I'm unmuted. I think you can hear me. Thanks, Doug. I love this part of my job, and working with these kids is just one of the best gifts in my life, and that's the honest truth. And I try to express that to them on a regular basis. And you know, it's and I'll never tire of doing this, but the one thing that since Thunder Ridge was first started just 2 years ago, not very long ago, and this position was given to me, I knew pretty quickly that I wanted there to be a certain feel and a certain theme and a certain what was it that I felt like that I could give to the students. And so our student council, as well as student council of the year past and student councils of years to come, as long as I'm there, we will always function under the mantra, if you will, that leadership is selfless. And that's really what gives me the fuel to keep going in teaching these kids and being a part of watching the miracles that they produce in their effort, their tireless effort to create the things that they do for the school, for the community, and a lot of times even far beyond the community, just here, our own Idaho Falls community. But super proud of them. I do have to say a couple things about our presentation today before I turn it over to the kids, because number one, another casualty of our COVID-19 life is that pretty much all of our seniors have they're working all the time. And so I think I've got one senior in here in this presentation, and all of them wish that they could be here, but their work schedules did not permit them to be here. They often some of them are starting really early in the morning and they don't get off until mid-afternoon. Others of them start right mid-morning and they couldn't make it. So they're trying to get on if they can, but almost all of them are working. But I do have messages. And the other thing is that just because of this different way of doing things, I honestly didn't know that we still have, I don't Zoom, I do the Google Meets. And so I didn't know if we would have PowerPoint capabilities. So we don't have any pictures to share with you. I wish we did, but we do have, each of our kids is going to take a minute and talk to you about what they have done in the individual councils that we run at Thunder Ridge. So I will turn the remainder of the time over to Kate Boyle, and she's going to be kind of conducting us through the rest of the meeting and who's going to be talking to you.
So we want to thank you again for allowing us time to visit with you today, and we would want to apologize again for our seniors. They all really wish they could be here. And so for this presentation, we want to use the 5 minutes to hear a representative from each class council. And so our freshman class council will be Spencer Thompson. He is one of our 4 representatives. And then we'll hear from Kagan Burtonshaw, who is our sophomore class president. And then we'll hear from Nicole Bigler, who is our junior class president, and Miss Kearsley will be speaking on behalf of our senior class president, Janie Fulmer. So Spencer, if you'd like to present.
Thanks, Kate. Like Kate said, my name is Spencer Thompson. I'm a freshman class council member, just a representative. Some of my favorite accomplishments from this year were our Unity projects. These consisted of our class of 2023 photo, freshman only dress up days, like all the freshmen on Friday dress up in white. We want to do a whiteout day. And then seeing stuff like this just hit hard, because one reason that makes me proud to be a Titan is our school spirit. And I feel like that really showed our school spirit in the class of 2023. Other things that made me feel proud were helping out with service projects for the whole school. Fundraising for the adoptive family. I mean, Hillcrest kind of touched on what that is, but we do our own adoptive family, they do their own, and we both do great things. And it's awesome to see the look on people's faces when you deliver Christmas to them. And so those are just some of the things that make me proud.
Okay, so next would be Kagan.
Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me? All right. Okay. Thanks, Spencer. For the sophomore council, a big thing for us was, as you guys know, Thunder Ridge is a new school, so it's a lot of uniting Hillcrest and Bonneville. Not so much the class spirit and the friend groups, but more of creating traditions and things that Hillcrest and Bonneville have. So we have a lot of individual-based activities, and they're more of a class-based council. So things such as spike ball tournaments, and a big thing for the sophomores was penny wars. I think a lot of schools do that, but Thunder Ridge, we like to think we actually have a pretty big one. I like to think that we do. So I really enjoyed having that, and having the classes compete against each other to for it to go to a good cause, such as the Christmas giveaway that we did. So.
Okay, I think I'm next, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm Nicole Bigler. I'm the junior class president, and some things that I'm really proud of that we accomplished this year was during the beginning of the year, during homecoming week, the juniors came together and united, and we took the win. And I think that feeling of togetherness really transferred well throughout the year. And we also did a service project during Veterans Day, where we got 4 pounds worth of letters to send to veterans and actively deployed members, which was really cool to see. And lastly, we did a Crush Soda fundraiser during Valentine's Day, where people could buy a can of Crush Soda and send it to their crush. And I think it was really fun, and I got a lot of people to participate and kind of get excited when they received the note, and I was really proud of how it turned out. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. So I'm going to take it here from here. Our senior class president is Janie Fulmer, and she is a super ambitious young lady, and she works every morning, I think from like 4 or 5 in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And since we've had this COVID kind of pandemic happen, she hasn't been able to join in most of our meetings, because she's just been I call them working stiffs now. So they all seem to be working, and the rest of us are staying home. But anyway, and so Janie was sorry that she couldn't be here, but she wanted me to talk to you about some of the things that the senior class council did this year. Some of her favorite accomplishments were, I mean, they started out the year with the senior sunset. I wish we would have had that slideshow now. They had beautiful posters made. And it was an awesome morning to watch the sunset together. I challenge the kids. They have 3 main pillars that they work on in classes every year. And every trimester, they have to have so many unity projects, so many service projects, and so many fundraising projects to help things keep going throughout the school year. And the class fundraising projects have been a little bit of a challenge at Thunder Ridge, as we're trying to get used to things. And perhaps one of the most successful fundraising projects was created by the seniors this year, and they did a soda shop where they made Italian sodas. And they did awesome, and it was super well received, and it was something that they'd hoped to do long into the 3rd trimester to continue to help them earn money to continue to help. And the money, what they wanted to have their senior money for, is they really wanted to be able to support students who wouldn't necessarily be able to pay for admission to Lagoon on the senior trip or admission to what they were planning was a grad night senior trip to Disneyland. So they were they were raising money for that kind of stuff. And anyway, so their fundraiser, they were super proud of that, and the other fundraisers that they did. It's always fun to see the class, and I don't know, I can't really compare. I don't know how to compare it, but I know it's exciting when you become a senior. But I still get super excited when I see new things come out, because Thunder Ridge still is a new school. So every time we see those senior sweatshirts come out and be worn so proudly, last year we had our first class of 2019 from Thunder Ridge, and now this year we'll have our second class of 2020. And so Janie thought that was one of her favorite things, is to see that senior merchandise to be worn with pride throughout the school. As a senior class, they also organized bowling events, movie nights. The senior class took on the date auction, which is another thing that's kind of one of those things that we know that Hillcrest does really well. And this year they raised over $5,000, and all of that goes towards our adoptive family, which was a couple $1,000 increase from our first year of date auction success. So it's a super fun fundraiser, and it's done completely selflessly. And I just love that one. So the other thing that the seniors took on was they decided they were going to host foreign exchange student luncheons, and they did this. Well, they would have done 3, but they did 1 each trimester, and it's where they invite all of our exchange students, and they provide the lunch, pay for the lunch, bring it in, and they get all those exchange students together, and they say it's just one of the best times that they have, and it's a fun lunch for them to have. So the other thing that they do is they did this year that Janie was talking about was the Christmas wishes that they were able to grant for all the SPED kids there at Thunder Ridge. They take a lot of time, and they go and they talk to each individual special needs student and get their wishes. And so some of them are as simple as a picture book to a bicycle or things like that. And so that's a really special one that the seniors were able to do. Of course, they'd hoped to do so much more, including, like I said, their long-awaited trip to Lagoon and possibly Disneyland and some other things that they've not been able to do this year because of this situation. But I have been so proud of them in their positivity and their ability to just keep going. And I sometimes want to always I try to remind them that this is, and I think perhaps Sal's was saying this, but this is one of those things that is hard, but it is defining them in so many ways. And it will go with them for a long time, and they will be a class that will never be forgotten, the class of 2020. And anyway, so I'm just going to transition into student body really quick. I have got 3 student body officers who are going to talk to you. I am going to represent our student body president, who also was so sad that she couldn't be here today, but she did write a message for you, and I'm just going to read it. Her name is Chloe Lindsay, and Chloe's got one of the biggest hearts and just has served this council with so much passion and so much energy, and a lot of tears and sleepless nights as well. So she says, "Hi everyone, I sincerely apologize that I could not attend this meeting. However, I still wanted to share a few words about this year to our council. If you've ever been to Lagoon, you know the most popular ride, Cannibal. If you've ridden it, you know it's full of crazy twists, turns, highs, and lows. This is exactly how our year went as a student council, and we were able to accomplish amazing things such as more families for Adopt-A Family, fun and exciting assemblies for our students that our students loved, successful class merchandise, a new and fun look for our freshman day, which they put a ton of time into, the coolest homecoming week around, and much more. But we also struggled as a council, and we had to overcome some obstacles within our own council that helped teach us the meaning of true leadership. And with blood, sweat, and tears, we got through them. I am personally grateful for the opportunities I have been given and the chance to serve in this council, as well as the hard lessons learned. Now that we are faced with an even bigger challenge that we could never imagine, a worldwide pandemic, we are working hard we are working hard to do all we can to keep TRHS united, safe, and help our students know that things will be okay and they are loved. Thank you so much for your support in everything we do and everything we are currently faced with. I wish I could be there to thank you myself. Thanks again, Chloe Lindsay, 2019-2020 student body president. Okay, so Kate, I'll turn it back to you for a second.
All right, so for our last two speakers, we are going to have Paxton Webster, who is our current student body historian and classroom manager, and he will be next year's student body vice president. And then our final speaker will be Carson Cunningham, and he is our student body vice president, and he will be next year's student body president. So turn the time over to you guys.
Hi, my name is Paxton Webster. I've had the opportunity to be one of the chairmen on Adopted Friendly the past 2 years, and it is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. It's special. It's one of the coolest things. I'm going to give you a couple of statistics that I thought were super cool. Our total adults this year, we had 48 adults that we provided Christmas for. We had 234 children that we provided Christmas for, and a rough estimate on the presents given, our gifts, was 1,274 presents. All of these presents went to families in our district that needed help this Christmas and they couldn't provide it. We had a lot of Christmas miracles that I get to see behind the scenes that maybe a lot of people don't know. One of them was when we had our Titan Be Titan for the Day, was where parents come in and they come experience high school. And Mr. McLennan got up and asked, if you have any money to donate, you can donate to Adopt a Family. It's a big thing. And what these parents didn't know is we had a lot more people that needed presents this year. And we'd raised a lot of money, but we were like 500 short. We needed a little bit more just to buy everything on these kids' list. And I was sitting there, I was talking to the other chairman and our advisor, and we were trying to decide what we could cut out for these people when we got a receipt from upstairs, and the receipt was for $550 that the parents had donated. And with that $550, we were able to buy every gift on each student's wish list. We had a lot of amazing families in our district, and I get to call them and set up a delivery date. And we all call these people and they'll just start crying saying, you're making such a difference in our family. We really needed this. I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. And one thing it showed me is I realized how generous people in our community are that are they're giving up so much money so that other people can have a little bit of Christmas spirit in their home. I really liked Adopt a Family. I've done it for 2 years, and it's one of the coolest things I get to do.
Hi, my name's Carson Cunningham, and from the beginning of the year, we all wanted to focus on making school more enjoyable for our students. That was our breakout lesson for regionals and Stuco State. So throughout the year, we were really trying to make sure that we always had an activity for students to look forward to. And like you heard from the class councils, we had tons of class activities and tons of student body activities that really gave our students, or the students at Thunder Ridge, a sense of identity, like they knew and felt like they were a Titan. And that is one of the things that I was most proud of, is seeing students really feel like they had a school that they could go to and feel safe at. And throughout the year, we started off really well. Freshman day, we put a ton of time into and making sure the freshmen merged well. And then that week, we had our first assembly. Ridge Riot, I think is what we called it. And it was a really, really good assembly. Almost everybody attended. And after, we had this big party type thing with a bunch of food, and activities. And then throughout the year, we just try to keep up that same intensity and energy. And fortunately, our year got cut short with the virus, and a lot of activities we didn't get to do, which was really sad. Like prom, I think, was the biggest one. Our seniors were really looking forward to their senior prom. And although we haven't been able to figure out an alternative yet, we as a student council have done a really good job of making sure our students are still having activities, not staying bored. I know me and several other student body members are messaging students, making sure they're doing okay with homework and are staying happy and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really sad. We didn't know how we were going to do our class elections, but through a couple of painful 2-hour meetings, we figured it out. And class elections are now on the road, and we're excited for next year. We don't really know what it holds, but we know there's going to be a lot of challenges, and we also know that we'll be able to get through them with our great advisor. I know no other advisor, well, I think no one other advisor puts as much time into it as Mrs. Kearsley does. It's almost annoying sometimes when you just want to chill, but she says we need this meeting, and it really pays off because our school definitely has a lot of activities and a lot of unity, and it's definitely because of our wonderful advisor. That's my.
All right, so we just want to thank you guys again for letting us present to you, and we're turning the time back over to you for any questions that you guys have for us.
You guys are awesome. I was just going to see if our board had any comments or questions for the Thunder Ridge Student Council.
2 questions, please. What was the most meaningful thing you did this year? And how did you go about doing your election?
I think the most meaningful thing that we did this year was adopt a family, like Hillcrest said, too. It's just such a wonderful project. You have the opportunity to help so many families in our schools and districts, but also the community as well. And it's not only that you get to see the families' faces, but you also get to see how generous some people are too. Like what Paxton was talking about, we were short funds, and we were actually able to get those because of people's generosity, and it's just an amazing project.
Can I say something too about that? One of my favorite projects that I kind of helped working on was the special ed gift giveaway. And we've been doing that for 2 years now, and it's probably one of my most favorite projects when we give the gifts to them, and they start jumping up and down and they're smiling, and it's just pure joy, and it really makes you feel so good giving it to them. And it's just one of my favorite projects that's most rewarding for me.
For your second question, how we did online elections this year is we have a packet that we fill out for elections normally, and we had a meeting about how to convert that to online. So we had a Google Meet where everyone could come that wanted to run, and it was a mandatory meeting, and Kara gave them the guidelines. And right now actually is when people can start posting their flyers. So all over social media, people have been posting their flyers and campaign progresses. And we have a Google site that 2 of our student body officers have been working on, where you can go and view every single one of the people that are running, all the candidates' profiles. And then elections will be opened up through email.
Thank you. Very impressive.
And Paul, if I could explain Kagan's, that meaningful experience that Kagan was talking about, we don't just give special ed students gifts. It was associated with our Christmas assembly. And we take a wish list from all of the students, but we really target those special needs students and invite them to ask Santa for something for Christmas or for the holidays. And they put those in, and they try to fulfill all of those Santa's requests or Santa's lists there. So, and it is an awesome time of the assembly. Everyone in the assembly loves it. and the way those kids light up is really cool. And so the student council kids and Kagan did a great job being part of that and organizing that.
It's so impressive
thank you,
that you're
sir.
so interested in service. That's just incredible, guys. That's just incredible. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a couple of things real quick. I just, I have kids that go to Thunder Ridge, and one of the unique things about Thunder Ridge, I think, that they have versus some of the other high schools in the area is last year when we opened up, we really didn't have a huge senior class. Our numbers are really low. And what I saw from that is real leadership. We saw a lot of the younger kids stepping up in student councils, but there was this unique kind of unification that happened where, we didn't have the seniors kind of with the seniors and the juniors with the juniors and the sophomores and so forth. It was a unified class. And you saw, freshmen hanging out with sophomores and vice versa, and all the way up to seniors and seniors hanging out with the younger kids. And there was just really a neat feeling of unification there. And I've felt that this year as well. That's carried on from last year. And a lot of that goes to you guys, you student council, that have worked really hard to knock down balls or barriers and walls and to get these kids together. And my hat's off to you for that, because we've really seen that unification through the other schools. And then I saw Jason Biggs on. We've got a couple of seniors here, and amid a lot of the ongoing crisis and the COVID things, is there a message that you want to share with your student council and your fellow students? Something, what would you say to them right now? And I know there's a couple of you on, and so I'd like to hear your thoughts of your feelings of your students, and what would you say to them right now amid everything that's going on?
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
But something I'd say to them is just stay strong. They always have another year to come back to high school. And so don't forget it. Don't take anything for granted on this. Use this as a learning project, and come back next year and take what you have. So that's it.
Nice. It's awesome. Who's next? Carson, you're laughing.
And it looks like JJ is our only senior on here today. So
Yeah.
I'm super glad he was
Okay.
able to make it on. And all of that was just crazy how their schedules worked out. Usually we're fighting with their schedules, but it just didn't work out so well today. But yeah, so he's our only senior and super proud of him. JJ's worked in the student council now for 2 years straight. And I'm fortunate because lives down the street, so I get to see him more often. But it's going to be hard. I know Amanda said this too, but it always feels like a little bit of your heart gets, well, no, it does definitely feel like part of your heart gets ripped out. In fact, before third trimester hit, some of our seniors were so ahead in classes that they were essentially done with their schooling, and just knowing that was even coming, it's a hard thing, because I truly do feel like they're mine. I refer to them as my kids, and I will always refer to them as my kids. And sometimes people have to ask me, well, which kids are you talking about? Your biological ones or your students? But I just really loved working with these kids, and awesome privilege and blessing. And I'm super grateful for the support of the school district. It's been incredible for me to watch your leadership, especially in this time, this crazy time it's been. And McLaren and the other administrators have been so supportive constantly. One of my favorite things is when Doug comes in and talks to the students every Wednesday. There's only a couple exceptions where he does not come into our student council classroom and visit with these kids. And I know that shows them how much he supports them and wants to just let them know that he's behind them and thankful for the things that they do. And whenever I'm in the halls and people give me compliments or say things good about the student council, all I can ever think of is they're amazing kids. They're more than I ever was, and they're more than I ever will be, because of how amazing I feel like they are. So grateful for that. Miss them terribly. This online stuff, guys, it truly does suck. Let's just say it how it is. So can't wait to get back with our people.
That's awesome. Jason, since you are the only senior, tell us a little bit about your plans. What's next for you?
I plan to serve in LDS mission after this, and then when I get home, I'm planning on going to Utah State for college.
Awesome.
So.
That's great. I'm sure you'll do great. Know your family really well and your parents, and I just have a lot of respect for you guys and a lot of respect for you and what you've done. So thank you.
What is Thunder Ridge's plan for graduation? We've heard Bonneville's and we've heard Hillcrest's.
I'll answer that. I don't know, Doug might be a good resource for this as well, but very similar to what you heard from Hillcrest. I know that we're renting a screen and going to set up our own drive-in theater. When the kids were asked if they wanted to do it on campus or at perhaps another venue, it was pretty unanimous that they felt like they wanted to be on the school campus, that it was a special place to them. It had special meaning. It was a long time waiting for them to be able to walk in those doors 2 years ago, and they never imagined anything different, and they really want to be there on the campus. So we will also set up, I know they're going to do an FM or an AM radio frequency to broadcast it, and there's a lot of work going into some special slideshows, some special presentations, and then more. So
yeah, that's a good summary. We're working with Hillcrest. We've reached out to a company, and they have a 75-foot screen that we're leaning towards having some type of agreement contract with them to come in. They'll take care of all the AV information, or product on that end. They'll broadcast on an FM transmitter, and then we are really trying to figure out a way, depending on the circumstances, to allow students to walk across the stage and to receive a diploma. So that's really the next big project or consideration that we have, as well as trying to grid out our parking lot so there's enough room for 270 cars to fit out there and to view the screen at a time. So and we'll probably stream it as well, so kids can you can watch it at home, or you can watch it on a device if you can't see the screen that well. But they say the screen we're renting would have about a 500-foot viewing distance, so it should be pretty easily viewed from no matter where you are in the parking lot. And then we're also looking at doing a parade to the school. They'll parade to the school, so neighbors and family members that can't come will be able to honk their horns and cheer them on while they are coming to the building.
So Doug, is that your graduating class number is 270?
Yeah, give or take.
Wow.
More give. We have some juniors that under the new circumstances have chosen to graduate early and get to college early, but so we might grow a little bit, but we're looking at 270 this year.
That's way different than last year.
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's going to be a lot more next year too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you're passing up the other schools.
Yeah. Just took us a whole year.
One whole year. Oh, well, Kara, I mean, congratulations to you and all the hard work with your student council. And I think it's especially hard coming in as a new school to establish your traditions and unify the kids from both of these other schools. And so you're doing a great job. And I know that the kids out there are just falling in and creating relationships, and they're learning to just be friends with everybody. I have a daughter that goes to school out there, and she's expressed to me just how at home she feels, and she just feels very accepted out there. And I just think it's such a good vibe that school is creating, you know, for a brand new school. It's pretty amazing. So congratulations to Doug and to Kara on that. I think it's pretty awesome. And to all of the kids who are working so hard to create traditions and work together to to bring the school together and unify the students. I think it's amazing.
Thank you for that. It's really the kids. The kids do all that heavy lifting with the other students and welcoming them and friendly, and so they deserve all that credit.
Yeah,
I
they're pretty awesome.
totally agree. It's amazing to me how you can, you know, when they feel it, when they get it, it's you turn around and you see, and I said this word before, but you truly do see little miracles happening. And they're just incredible. So it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
I know my daughter's expressed, you know, just at lunch, how kids, they will get up and wander and they don't stay in the same place necessarily the whole lunch, but they're up and talking and visiting with other crowds of kids. It's, I don't know. She's just tried to explain to me that it's not real cliquey, which I like. So I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, good job, kids, all of the Thunder Ridge kids. Is there any other comments from the board or questions for the Thunder Ridge Student Council?
This is Chad, Chairman Landers. Just very briefly, my feelings are the same as Chairman Landers. Thanks, Kara, for your hard work, and Doug, and especially for the senior class and all that you've done. And this is a difficult spring, and not having spring sports and not having graduation and the dances and all the activities. But everybody's going to learn something and we'll all be better for it. So just congratulations to the Student Body Council and just for your great work, and good luck in the future.
Thank you to Thunder Ridge and all the students who hopped on today and for presenting to our school board. Again, we're sorry we couldn't meet with you guys in person. So we appreciate
Amy,
you.
if I could have just 2 seconds.
Yeah, that would be great.
This is Scott Wilson-Hume. Yeah, you bet. I just, again, probably just repeating what's already been said, but as superintendent, I want to tell our kids how proud I am of you, both at Hillcrest and Thunder. One of the key cornerstones that we've talked about a lot this year is positivity, and I just heard that resonate through the messages that were shared today and all the activities that you planned at both schools. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that focus on positivity, and just like Chairman Landers talked about, the efforts to break down traditional barriers among kids. And then I know great student counselors are comprised of great kids, but I also know it takes outstanding student council advisors. And I tried very ineptly to fulfill that role, both at Shelley High School as a teacher and at Hillcrest High School when I was an assistant principal in my first couple of years. It is a very challenging and time-demanding role, and I just can't tell both Amanda and Kara how much I appreciate the work you're doing with the kids. It's not an easy gig to find that right balance between empowering students and holding the line and making sure that things are done the right way. So you've done just an outstanding job with that. I want to tell you personally, thank you how much I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Scott.
Dr. Wilson-Hume.
Dr. Wilson-Hume, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if he cares, but I think we're all good. Scott, Dr.
I do.
Wilson-Hume.
It's Scott. I care a lot about that. It better be Scott. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys. And if Hillcrest is still on, again, thank you to you guys too, and to Amanda. So we appreciate you guys so much. So thank you for being with us today. You guys are welcome to hop off or stay on. It's up to you. But
Thanks for
Thank
having
you very
me.
much.
Thanks for having my council. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, Amanda. All right. We're going to go ahead and turn the time over to Dr. Wilson-Hume for reporting on the state of the district.
Let me try that again. Thank you, Dr. Lander. Thank you, Chairman Landers. So one of the requirements we have to take care of with state both statute and administrative rule is to apply for a waiver to our instructional hours. Due to both the winter closures that we had, the winter closures we would have been fine with, but as soon as we had to close school due to the outbreak of the coronavirus, that put us under the minimum number of instructional hours. And there's this interesting question on actually on how many hours are we actually under? And there's two ways to look at it. So one is that we simply report the number of days that we were truly closed, and we would have been over or under is probably the right way to say it, under the required number of instructional hours. It varies by grade level, but we would have been essentially probably about 4 to 5 days under the minimum number of instructional hours at the kindergarten level and senior class level, and then the other grade levels kind of vary from that. But one point that was brought up as we talked about this with our regional superintendents is that really the number of hours we're truly expecting our students to be engaged in learning through this soft closure is significantly different than if we were in school. And we've just emphasized with our teachers they need to focus on what's truly essential and gear their instruction and their expectations for students participating in learning activities to that minimum. And so with that, I guess our recommendation is we actually reduce the number of instructional hours to include the fact that we're really requiring significantly less participation in learning from our students during the soft closure than we would have if school were in session. So with that, you can see, and this is shared with you in the packet in case you can't see my screen very well, and I'll go ahead and just zoom up to the bottom line down here, and I can go through this in more detail if there's any specific questions. So here in green are the days that were actually closed for school. And so you can see we were closed for 5 days total due to winter conditions, and then 4 days with the coronavirus outbreak. And then in addition to that, basically we've increased the number of hours that we include for shortened days of instruction. So typically that's just included our early release days, but we went ahead and reduced our instructional hours in that category as well. And so you can see in kindergarten, we're basically about 23 days fewer of instruction. First through third grade were 7.5 days. Seventh and eighth grade were 11 days under the required, and then that translates into hours in the line above it. 25 days under in ninth grade, 25 days under in 10th grade, 25 days under in 11th grade, and 27 days under in 12th grade. So I just wanted to share that with the board. I don't think this requires an actual board item. As I reviewed the statute, it doesn't say this has to be approved by the board. The State Department has created a really simple form that I just simply have to put this into the form and submit it, but I wanted to make sure the board didn't have any questions before I did that.
Thanks, Scott. Is there any questions from the board?
I don't have any.
I have none.
I have none. Thank you.
All right, Scott, you've got the go ahead. Just keep on trucking.
Okay.
And
The other key thing we're supposed to include in this is any efforts we make to try to make up the days, and of course we're not intending on making any efforts to make up the days. In that section, I'm going to refer to the fact that we adopted a competency-based instructional model with a focus on learning outcomes and not on seat time, rather than looking at simply trying to make up instructional hours. So just giving you a heads up on that'll be part of the information I submit to the State Department.
So Scott, and just looking at that, I can see all the days that you listed. And so when you get the totals at the bottom, and it's more than the days that we've actually missed, how come those totals are off from how many days we've actually missed?
Right. So these, so two reasons. So one, so these are the days we were closed for school, but when we build our school calendar, we actually build in additional days anticipating we're going to have emergency closures. The other thing that gets factored in is that they include 11 hours of time that we can count for emergency closures. And then the third thing is, again, these are hours, and the hours is actually the requirement. And so in addition to the school closure days, we've got reduced instructional hours for, well, you can see up here how many instructional hours we have included from shortened days. So those are all the different variables that basically turn into the calculation down here on how many actual days were short.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm not hearing any. So thanks for doing that, Scott. So if it's okay with you, are we good to keep going on our agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have Guy Wainsgard talk to us about the budget update.
All right, so what I, excuse me, what I've done is I've just taken that document that we looked at our previous meeting and inserted some updates on the items where we have additional information. So we can just work our way through those. We do have some updated guidance from the State Department of Education on the use of the CARES funds. We're still waiting for the ability to actually submit our application for that. But the second document that is attached gives us a little bit more guidance on what that money can be spent for. Certainly all the hardware, the technology items that we've purchased in regards to connectivity is able to be used. And then really any response to coronavirus, specifically the work that custodians are doing, the cleaning supplies, all of those things are able to be used, and we can backdate that, any expenditures that we had starting on March 13th. So although it's still preliminary, it looks like we'll be able to cover a lot of the things we've had to do to move to online platform, as well as the cleaning. Any questions on that piece?
I don't have any.
Guy, how much in rough numbers are we looking to apply for?
So it's a formula distribution. It's about 83% of our Title I allocation. So it's about if you can hear me, I just got to switch. My headphones just died. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me again. So it's about 1.2 million. We're still waiting on our exact numbers from the State Department on that, but it should be close to 1.2 million. We did get additional information from the state regarding the 1% holdback. And so you can see here's the categories where that is going to impact us. The majority of these items are in the general fund, though I just want to call your attention to the line at the bottom called classroom technology. So that does not go into the general fund. That goes into our state tech fund. So a good portion of the holdback ended up going into the state technology of 268,000. So there's a lot of funding that we use from state technology for Chromebooks, for lots of our software programs. So definitely impacts our technology ability, which the thought there was that a lot of our technology expenditures will be replaced by some of the federal money. So how that actually plays out, we'll just have to wait a little bit and see. So of the 723,000 that we lose, from the 1%, 268,000 of that goes to state technology. The remainder of that ends up in the general fund. Let's pause there for a minute, see if there's any questions. No updates at this point on Medicaid or child nutrition. Still waiting on additional information there. If we go down to item number 7, transportation has just been kind of quiet from the State Department. Haven't really received a lot of answers. And so I sent an email off to them on Friday with some specific questions on how reimbursement is going to be handled. Have not received any response from them at this point. And so I'll be following up with them to find out how that's going to impact us. With more information on the 1% holdback, I was able to do a little bit more detailed work with the general fund balance for this coming year, where we were looking at about 5.3, that goes up to about 5.5, mainly because of that 268,000 that is really, or that is going to the state technology and not the general fund. So not significantly different, but a little bit there. Looking at number 9 is the one where we're really waiting. There's been several different proposals, several different drafts that I've seen regarding the 5% holdback that is being talked about at the state level for the next year. The 5% holdback is 5% off of the legislative appropriation for 2021, which was actually about a 4.6% increase over our current year. So how that impacts us really is going to depend on which categories they take that from. I anticipate that there will be another portion of that that will hit state technology, but the largest piece of that is probably going to end up in our discretionary funds and salary-based apportionment. Coming down to number 10 is just a little bit more information on the federal stimulus. That's where the 1.2 million, the new information does give us the ability to take that back to expenditures starting on March 13th. Number 11, we did receive in the last couple of weeks our renewal rate for our medical insurance, came in at an 8.8% increase, which is the highest increase in probably 6 or 7 years. That amounts to about $778,000 for our district. We'll be meeting with our insurance committee on May 6th to review the renewal and see if there are any tweaks that we need to make to our plan. The school district council is offering several different options this year. We can have higher deductibles, a couple different things that they've given us. So we'll review that as a committee. And depending on our recommendation from the committee, it could come in lower than the 8.8% if we choose to forego some of the benefits that are offered. Those are really the updates. Be happy to answer any questions. And then really for next year, it's just kind of in a holding pattern until we get our actual budget worksheets from the State Department.
And any estimate on when those might be coming, Guy?
I've heard they're hoping for sometime in the first week of May, or another estimate I heard would it be the second week. So I just hopefully no later than the first or second week of May. And so what that may impact, and I believe we'll talk about it a little bit later on the agenda, is our budget deadlines are really dependent upon the July board meeting date. And so when we get to that agenda item, we can talk about how these things may impact that date.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
So Guy, do I understand then that the 1% holdback can be offset by the 1.2 million?
So not exactly. There's pieces of it that can be. So for instance, in the one piece of the 1% holdback is 123,000 for professional development. We can't backfill that with the 1.2 million unless the professional development is money that we're spending to instruct teachers on how to go online. Another piece of it is gifted and talented, where we're losing $30,000. I don't know that there's any way that we can backfill that 30,000 for gifted and talented. Really, the only two areas that are pretty clear, I think, are the classroom technology for items that we're spending to move to online learning, and then really the pieces related to custodial cleaning and supplies that we could backfill.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
So Guy, were you gonna talk any more about the other attachment that you had, or was that it for the presentation? It was mostly focusing on this document.
Yeah, the other document is the current State Department document on how we can use, or examples of how we can use that 1.2 million. This just came out last night, so we haven't had a time to go through it in detail. But it does give us a little bit more direction on how we're able to spend that money. And we have until September of 2022 to spend the money. So it's not like it has to be spent immediately.
I'm glad you're in charge of this and not me, Guy.
It is definitely a puzzle this year, definitely something to deal with.
Yeah, it's super daunting to me. I can't imagine you, and you understand it. You know, you actually understand it. There's so much of this that just goes over my head. So I'm glad that we have you in place and that you know what you're doing and help our district out. So thanks.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
All right. Is there any other questions from the board?
I don't have any.
All right. Hearing none. Okay.
I have none. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. We're going to go ahead and invite Keith Jackson to present on employee hiring.
Thanks, Scott. If you'll just keep scrolling through for me on the screen that you're sharing. As we look at new employees being hired, the majority of hires are happening right now for next year. We do have a handful of employees that are being hired right now that are summer help, temporary help. And in addition to that, we have some who are going to be long-term year-round employees. And as we've looked at that and started the process of interviewing new candidates to come to work as soon as possible, there's some concern with some of the requirements that we have in fulfilling our obligations for background checks and things of that nature, specifically the requirement to do fingerprints and get them sent off for that background check. And so there's a couple of things I want to talk about today and have a discussion with the board to make sure I'm not taking too much latitude in how I'm interpreting this policy. The policy I'm referring to is the hiring policy 5010. And it reads, I highlighted a section that all employees, all personnel selected for employment shall, and then under letter A, they submit to a criminal history check pursuant to Idaho Code 33-130. So typically we've required all new candidates all new hires to submit to that background check, regardless of what their position is or what they've been hired for. A little bit more, Scott. And so as I look at Idaho Code 33-130, Scott, if you wouldn't mind scrolling past the next document to that code. The code gives us a little bit more guidance on who should be receiving a background check. And it specifically talks about any applicant who is certified, which would be any of our teachers or people services. And then the other is, or individuals having contact with students. And then down below in the highlighted section, it specifically talks about individuals who have unsupervised contact with students in a K-12 setting. And so as we're going through the process of hiring summer help, I would like to interpret this policy in our summer help, because they will not have contact with students and they will not be unsupervised, that we could forego the fingerprinting and background check for these employees. They typically would work from June to the middle of August. So it's about an 8 to 10 week position that we're hiring them for. It typically would require about a 3 to 5 week process for them to, for us to get the background information back to then make a determination of whether they should be employed. And then the other point of emphasis for these positions is that a significant majority of these new hires are students. They're hired on the summer paint crew, they're hired on the summer lawn crew, and so most of them are under the age of 18, or they're past employees that had a background check last year, who are returning. They've completed their first year of college. And so my question to the board is, am I reading this statute in our board policy the way that you would see it, that because these new employees would not have contact with students, that we would be okay not doing a background check for them at this time?
Keith, I personally think that that sounds right, just looking at it. And if they're students and they're just on the yard crew and not having interaction with the kids, that seems right to me. And you're saying that the people that do have contact with the kids, we're not going to do this either because they're either current employees or have worked with us last year and had a background check last year?
We will, if they're going to. I'm only asking for seasonal employees at this point to forego the background check. And they would not have contact with students between now and school starting in the fall.
That makes sense to me. Is there any other questions or insight from the board?
Well, Heath, this is Chad. So most of the new hires will be students. What about if you hire a non-student or someone considerably older? Would you do a background check for that individual?
Yes. So Scott, if you could scroll up to the document from the state board. Right now, we are doing all of our own fingerprinting in-house. The HR department completes all of those. The concern we have right now is because of the proximity of and the closeness of doing those fingerprinting and the personal situations of employees who would be responsible for doing that. We would ask that we would be able to delay those. And so I've highlighted from the State Board of Education, if we're not able to acquire fingerprinting, that we would ensure new employees are supervised around students until fingerprinting resumes. And so for any employee who's not seasonal, anybody that we're hiring on a long-term, they'll continue working for us in August. That would include all of our teachers. I would propose that we follow this guidance from the state. We delay fingerprinting until late June, first part of July, and then bring in all of those employees when things have settled down a little bit. And we have an opportunity to put into place some precautions. We need to order masks. We need to get gloves to ensure that our employees in HR are protected and able to do these fingerprinting in a safe manner. So I'm only asking to exempt seasonal employees, the others to delay their background check for 6 to 8 weeks, and then we will fulfill those background checks possibly sooner, just depending on the guidance that we continue to receive from the governor and the CDC.
Is there any other questions?
I'm in agreement with that.
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We will work with our department to put a plan together of how we'll move forward with these long-term employees to ensure that we have their background checks done in a timely manner before we get into the school year, specifically with our new teacher hires.
That sounds good. This COVID thing is so far reaching, it's crazy. It impacts every single thing I feel like that we do. I mean, just goes into every little crack and crevice that you can find. I mean, I don't know. I just wouldn't even have thought of that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. So if everybody's good, we'll moving along. Next thing on the agenda is discussing the retirement open house. And I was just going to say that Mary has all of the gifts ready for our retirees, and she has everything ready to go at the district office for people to pick up on Tuesday between 1 and 5 this coming Tuesday, so in less than a week. And I was just going to see what the consensus was about signing a card. If people would like to go out and do that, or if you just don't want to. I could go out and I could sign the.
My thought would just be if anybody else wants to, they could go.
I'm in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement as well.
All right, so Mayor, and get up there and get the district employees and Heath, Guy, thoughts on whether.
Good to sign them. So, Mary, if you just don't mind putting a central place for people to go in all the cards.
Okay, I'll try to get down there. What's today, Wednesday? I'll try to get down there by Friday. Amy, when do you think you could come by?
I'll just contact you after the meeting and I'll set something up.
What?
Where are the cards? Where are the cards right?
Currently, there's on the shelf in my office that's up high on the wall are the yellow bags, the gift bags, and just placed in between a couple of them is a bunch of cards and envelopes. There's nothing, nothing has been, I have not put names on any of the envelopes. They're just there.
Okay.
So you can find them. They're there.
Yeah. So I'll swing in this afternoon. I'll just put those on the conference table in my office, and at least the back door to my office will be unlocked. So,
Scott, I'm here in the office today right now. I could put those in your conference room if you want.
Okay, thanks, Heath.
So Scott, would I be able to get in then and do that as well?
Well, we'd still need to have somebody let you into the office. But then
Your office
like I said,
would
that
be
back
open.
door. Yeah, that back, at least the back door to my office is unlocked right now.
Okay.
Amy, John Pym has a document that he needs signed by you. So if I could just meet you down there so you can sign that document and the note cards at the same time.
Okay, I'll contact you. It'll probably be tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, I'll contact you today, but I won't be able to get up there until tomorrow.
That's fine. Not a problem.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. And then just so everybody knows, the retirees, Mary's contacted them and they're going to be picking those things up Tuesday, starting at 1 o'clock. So if you guys that are going to sign them could just get them signed by Tuesday at 1 and get them back to Mary. So in her office, that would be excellent. All right. Dr. Wilson-Hume, you still gonna chat with us about graduation plans?
Well, so you've got updates from the 3 main high schools. I think Bonneville is still at least, and then Levi may be on. Levi is on, so he could speak. I know they're looking at a traditional traditional, that's kind of funny in this sense, but a drive-in, a regular drive-in, rather than doing the screen at the school. So Levi, just any updates that you think the board needs to be aware of on your graduation plans?
Yeah, so I'm meeting with student council again on this Friday to really solidify. I think they would like to move the venue to the Motor View here in town instead of going up to Rexburg. The Motor View's offering some firework packages and things that they want to take advantage of. It is going to require us to push the date of our graduation. The Motor View's open that Saturday after when we would graduate, and then that whole next week. So we'll try and land on a date for sure on Friday, and then I'll get that information out to everybody so that plans can be made. But likely we're moving to the Motor View drive-in here in town and changing our graduation date.
Is that the same drive-in that 91's using?
Yep, it is the same one that they're using.
Okay, so that's why the dates aren't available.
Yeah, they have it booked clear through that Friday, so the earliest we could get in is Saturday.
And then we have Lyndon and Corey are both on. So Lyndon, why don't we start with you? Do you mind giving the board an update on your graduation plans?
Yes, we are still doing a tribute online with a presentation of the seniors. And Amy, you're our school board member, so it'd be nice if you could record or videotape your remarks, and we'll put that at the beginning of that slideshow.
Yeah, I'll get that to you soon.
Okay, we'll do that. And then that's where our student remarks and my remarks will be as well. To avoid social gathering and people getting out of their cars, we're going to make our ramp presentation very brief at our school, starting at 5 o'clock. Seniors will be lined up 6 feet apart. The music will start. Mr. Richardson will announce their names. They'll go up onto the stage, and if I could have a member of the school board and a member of the administration there so I can present the seniors and then have them walk across the stage. We will have a custom-made mask for everybody, including every senior. But we thought it'd be nice if they could walk across the stage. I would hand them their diploma, they could take a picture and then walk off the stage. And wherever your comfort zone is on social distancing, you can be 6 feet in the background, or you can be wearing a mask and gloves and be next to them, whatever your comfort zone is and what you feel is safe for you. But then we'll get through all our graduates and then they'll just get in their cars and go home.
About how many do you have this year, Lyndon?
55.
How many?
55.
55. I can be there if you want. If somebody else wants, then they can jump in. But I can be there.
24-foot trailer, so I think if we can have 3 or 4 people up there.
I'll plan on it, Lyndon.
Okay, it's the same graduation night at 5 o'clock.
Okay. And what about Lincoln? Or is Lincoln on, Scott?
Yes, we're here. There. So right now, what we're looking at is doing something online with the kids where I'll have my remarks. I talked to Paul yesterday. He'll have his remarks. Our kids will give their remarks, kind of give a tribute. And then right now, looking at trying to get together with the kids sometime in June to do a senior barbecue with them, and get them together and they can take pictures and talk to each other and get yearbooks signed and stuff like that. That's just right now. We haven't had a lot of success looking into venues that we can get to.
Do we have our online school?
Amy, we're going to do the 29th. We'll also have if you'll record them once and send them to both Lyndon and I. We're going to do a video tribute, but we're going to go up to Rexburg, up to the Teton View Drive-In, and do our graduation up there that night. And so we'll just have a recorded piece and play the video for the students. We'll hand them their diplomas, covers on the way in, and a senior T-shirt, and then on the way out we'll hand them their diplomas, actual diplomas at the end. So that's what we're going to do with it. We're having the kids submit their pictures and in their caps and gowns, and everything. So we're in the process of gathering that information from the students right now. So that's our plan, is we're going to go to Teton View Drive-In up in Rexford.
How many are you graduating, Corey?
We have 107 seniors. We have 60, I think, that are walking, had planned on walking with caps and gowns, but I'm sure we'll have, anybody who knows what we'll have in the video.
So Scott, is there anything else that we needed to be aware of?
No, I think the other thing you may want to be aware of, I guess, a couple of key things I'd like you to know as board members. So one is our principals have been working with their student council advisors. It's a situation just like everything we're dealing with right now, that we're going to have parents that disagree with the decision, that are upset for one reason or another. There's no right answer. I think our principals have done a great job in trying to be as innovative as they can in the circumstances, but really working with their elected senior class officers to come up with the best plan possible. So, I don't know if you got many, I haven't received a ton, but I've gotten a couple of emails from people. But really, I just think we need to, I guess, emphasize the point that graduation ceremonies are under the supervision and control of the building principal. And you've heard from all of our principals, you've heard how they worked with the senior class officers to plan these events, and that they're doing the best they can in the circumstances. So, based on, really the limited seating we have availability for, I know some, our principals will work with families that are split families. That certainly creates kind of an additional challenge when we're saying one car per student. If that student comes from a home where parents are divorced, I think our principals are working through that as on a case-by-case basis. We've got to be really careful, because we just can't open it up to having a ton of people at these events. And with that, we did speak yesterday with James Corbin and Jerry Rackow from Eastern Idaho Public Health. I can't say I always try to get their blessing for this, because as public health officials, they've got to really try to hold the line on saying, truthfully, I think their preference would be that we didn't do anything, but at the same time, they're very understanding that, that they understand our need to do something for our kids. And so they were not opposed to this, and they didn't say, no, you absolutely should not proceed with this. So I didn't want to put them in a position saying, do you approve us doing this? Because I don't think that's a fair request to make from them. But I could at least get them to say that given all the circumstances, that they were comfortable with these plans, as long as we try to do our very best to communicate to people they still need to maintain social distancing. That's probably our biggest concern with the plans, is there's just little troublesome factor called free agency, where you can set out expectations for people and say, this is what we need you to do. But kids and parents will make their own decisions. And so I would just say there is definitely concern among all the principals as well as district leadership that if kids get out and they're hugging each other and parents are encouraging their kids to say, forget this is your chance to go out and celebrate, it's going to be a problem. And so, but I guess we'll do our very best to communicate to people, to teach them the correct principles, to teach them what the expectations are, to try to really encourage them in a positive way to maintain and follow those guidelines. But just know there is that underlying concern that if people are just hell-bent on not following the rules, it concerns us a lot. We don't want to be the reason that there's a resurgence in an outbreak of the virus. So.
I've gotten some feedback from parents, and it's all been really positive. I think people are kind of excited that we're doing anything as opposed to doing nothing. So, and people think it's original, and, I don't know. There's been some excitement over it from the parents I've heard from. So hopefully we don't get too much negative from it.
Amy, this is Chad. I've got another an appointment at 1:30. If I could ask to be excused, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I do have one question. So those of us who were speaking, Paul offered his studio, which I would like to take advantage of, but when does that have to be done, and what would be a deadline for that?
I would probably need 4 or 5 days to get the post-production on it. 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so we can just call you directly, Paul, when we have our
Absolutely.
piece ready?
And I'll set up a green screen. We can find backgrounds. And we'll be social distance, not a problem. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet.
And if I could be excused, Amy, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, you're great, Chad. Thank you. Paul, I'll be calling you as well for doing the video as well, if that's okay.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So if we could get those videos done with Paul by the end of next week and give him a few days to do post-production, that should be enough time for us to get him into our presentations. The sooner the better, but definitely by no later than the end of next week.
Okay.
This is Greg. Did I understand that Hillcrest is maybe an exception and they want us to be speaking live at the Hillcrest one?
I will verify that, Greg. I thought they were all trying to do something digitally. So I'll double check with Scott on that and get back to you, or have Scott get back to you.
Okay, that's great. Or I can just follow up with him too. I was certainly planning on recording it, but then I thought I heard something today that made me think that wasn't the case. But
hey, Scott, I'm here.
Scott Miller, this is Greg.
Awesome. Yeah, Miller, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Greg, if we could do it live, that's what we would like to do. And the system we have has an FM modulator that would broadcast to the car through an FM channel. So we would like to do all of our speeches live if possible.
Okay, that's fine with me. I'll just plan on that unless I hear something different.
And if you don't feel comfortable and want to record it, that's fine too. It's up to you.
No, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
You betcha. Thanks.
And Scott Lynch for Thunder Ridge, if Scott's still on there, I can't see everyone anymore, but if Scott's still on there, our tentative plan, Scott, is to pre-record those just because we're not sure on the what's going on that night. But if we do have a change in that, you would just do live your pre-recorded message, I guess, but we want to be prepared just in case something happens so we can't do a live presentation.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll plan on doing that. I'll get with Paul as well and get something pre-recorded and done.
Okay.
And Lyndon, since I'm going to be there, do you want that one live or do you want it pre-recorded?
I want it pre-recorded for the Facebook. We're going to really minimize the amount of time they're in the parking lot. We're not going to give them a lot of chances to get out of their cars and storm the stage.
Okay, I'll get that done for you.
Thank you.
All right. Are we good to move on? Scott, was that everything?
Yeah, unless the board had any other questions or concerns from us or for us.
If any of the schools need help with their production, I'm sitting here and more than glad to do it.
So candidly, Paul, you've got the time to do that. That is a question that they've asked. And I mean, we have fairly limited capabilities, by which I mean Phil, for us to do anything. So
well,
if you really do have the time and could, that'd be a huge help, I think, for some of the schools.
Do you know what this has done to my business?
Okay.
I'm doing
all right.
Cleaning and computer updating and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely, I'll be more than glad to help any of them.
That's a godsend. Thank you, Paul.
Of course.
And Paul, Kara, she volunteered you.
I don't doubt that.
we were going to reach out to you anyway, so that's great that you're willing to do that. We really appreciate it. It'd be huge for us.
You know, if we've got the capability, it wouldn't be a shame not to, wouldn't it?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't volunteered you yet, Paul, but we will on Friday.
Okay, certainly. Yep. Let's do it.
Thanks, Paul. All right. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Jason Lords to talk about Pine Basin this summer.
Thanks, Amy. I have to be careful saying this. I don't know if I can say it as good as you did, but this is just one of those cracks and crevices types of things. As we were looking at Pine Basin, as much as we didn't want to cancel, we had some conversations yesterday that kind of finalized that thought with Pine Basin is not doing it this summer. As we looked at the stages, with the social distancing, I'm just not sure how we could make that happen. There was conversation, we went back and forth and talked about, if we pushed it to July, it could do a couple weeks in July. The hard thing with that is for what it takes to be ready all summer and to do that, we just didn't think it'd be worth it. One thing that we did talk about is the possibility of still doing the high school science. That's in the 2 weeks in August that we talked about leaving that as still being there possibly, but to cancel the summer Pine Basin was what we landed on. I don't know if there are any questions or thoughts with that.
I don't have any. That makes sense to me.
Even in the first conversation, we talked about social distancing. I don't know if you've ever been up to the cabin up there. I have gone there a couple of different times with student councils and also with some fifth graders last year. And if you are the number of beds in the cabin, I'm not sure there's a foot of social distancing, it felt like, with those fifth graders. But so we were talking about that, and then John even made the point of well, if we throw them on a bus to a seat before we even get there. And so we were just as much as we don't want to, it's such a good program, and I know our kids and families enjoy it, but we just didn't see a way of being able to follow the social distancing even into past that fourth stage. Okay,
so I've got to do my one pun. At least John wanted to throw them on the bus rather than under the bus.
He did not say anything about under the bus. So
sorry.
John, did you have any other comments with that as well?
I talked to Darren yesterday. Of course, he's pretty disappointed. I shared with him the discussions we'd had with the elementary principals. He is, however, says that, he's 100% supportive, understands where we're at. And from our side, on the maintenance side, I think there's a potential there maybe to get in and do some projects this summer that we've wanted to do. And we're still in the process of deciding what we want to do rental wise, whether we are going to allow any rentals, some rentals, whether we're going to open it up for rentals under the, can you meet these guidelines? If so, you're welcome to use the facility. So if there's any input or guidance on that, that would be helpful as we move forward there as well.
Does the board have any input or guidance for John? Because I don't. I just think it's up to you guys. I don't know if I feel comfortable giving you input or guidance on renting the facility.
Seems to me John has that pretty well figured out.
All right. So as John talked with me about this, I think it was Monday. To me, the first decision we had to make was whether or not we were opening it up for our kids. And now that decision's been made, and I think there's really solid reasons why we cannot open it up for our kids. There's guidance from the state right now. So when they talked about youth camps, that's kind of an interesting one that they said youth camps could open up, but then they provided further guidance about the social distancing expectations for those youth camps, and we cannot meet those with Pine Basin. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world that we cannot run this summer camps for our kids this summer. But to me, that now that decision is made, I guess my only concern with rental is just we want to make sure, I think it'd be extra incumbent upon us to make sure that we're doing sanitization of the facilities, which we clean. I hate to say this, but I don't know that our cleaning would necessarily rise to the level of sanitization. And so I think if we do rent, we've got to look at potentially some increased cost to cover, to me, what would have to be a more thorough sanitization. So we're not setting ourselves up for liability from somebody coming in after a group and potentially contracting it. So to me, I think we just want to probably work with both our liability insurance and potentially with Doug Delson and just make sure that they're comfortable with us continuing to do that. And if so, I guess the fact that we're not running it for our kids, to me, doesn't mean that we cannot run it as a rental property if we feel like we can meet those criteria and if our insurance and attorney feel like we're okay to do it.
Scott, I'll make the necessary contacts in the next week or so with those folks and provide some feedback. So as we discuss it further, I'll have that information for you.
And this probably goes without saying, but it just seems like the need to do the maintenance and the extra projects that we don't normally have the chance to do should take the priority over ready now, but you probably already know that.
Yeah, Greg, and one of the things we had discussed, Don and I, is that we have had some great success trading labor with folks. So they'll go up and spend some days there, and then they will, like we had a guy haul in a lot of fill for the parking area and spread it out for us. And he did that because we gave him a couple of days there in the lodge. So that may be one of the things we explore is getting some local craftsmen up there to save our guys from having to go up there and have it pay for itself by the use of the lodge.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's a great
And
idea.
I definitely agree with you, Greg. The other thing is typically it's our rental fees that help pay for the improvements. And so it's hard for us to do the improvements unless we are doing some type of rental to generate revenue for those.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, John and Jason, and for updating us on that. And if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the final thing on our agenda, which is Dr. Wilstonham talking to us about our July board meeting.
So I think you may have received something from ISBA on this as well, but just due to the impending 5% budget holdbacks, basically the consensus in the state is that holding our July board meeting where we would present the budget for approval as late as possible would be in the district's best interest. So I guess with that, I would just propose that we move our July board meeting to the 29th or even later that week if we could, but I think the 29th would probably be just fine.
That works for me.
The 29th
Does
of
everybody
July?
understand? Yeah, does everybody understand the rationale on that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
I need to be in the right month. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'll be in town. I'm leaving that Friday, so I would need to do it before the Friday.
So the 29th.
The 29th would work for me.
And we just
So that may need to be an action item to change the date. Is that correct, Mary?
I would assume.
Or we have
that,
approved
yes.
meeting dates. Yeah, we've already approved meeting dates. I think we need an action item on that.
Can we do it on the May 13th meeting? It's not labeled as an
Yes.
action item on the agenda.
Yeah. So we could put it on the consent calendar as a separate action item on the May meeting.
Okay.
And that would be the regular meeting. It would be taking the place of the regular meeting or the budget
Well,
that's
the budget and
that's
fee
up to
hearing is
you.
the regular meeting.
Yeah,
Well, we could do it either way. We just have to designate it as the budget hearing. So it's really whether the board wants to meet twice in July or just once. We have our retreat in there as well. So my recommendation would be that we do not hold a meeting on the 8th and just hold it on the 29th instead.
That makes sense to me. And then the only other thing I was going to say is just where Chad's not here, we ought to double check with him that works for him, but that should be fine.
yeah. Yeah, I know he would want to be there. Okay, so I can reach out to Chad. And then Mary, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and put that on the coming agenda for the May regular meeting on the consent calendar. And then if Chad can't
The
do
July,
that date,
July regular, are we going to cancel the 8th, the regular meeting on the 8th and move it to the 29th? Or are we going to hold the meeting on the 8th as well?
what are the thoughts from the board? What do you guys want to do?
Cancel.
You want to just move everything to the 29th?
Yes,
That makes the most.
Yeah, that would seem.
Okay,
this seems logical.
I can check with Chad to see if the 29th works for him.
that's great, Mary. Thank you. Okay, so we'll just look for that on the consent calendar in the May meeting.
Okay.
All right, is that everything, Scott? Is that item?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there any agenda items for our upcoming meetings that the board or anybody from the district feels that we need to have?
I don't have anything.
All right, so hearing none, we would just need a
Amy,
motion.
can I get one quick clarification? So I don't think I have a meeting for May 6th. And at this point, I don't think we need one. Is that correct, Mary? We don't have anything calendared for next week?
No, we do not.
Okay, so I guess I think we're okay. I know we've been in weekly meetings scheduled for the last month, but I think we're okay to not have a meeting on the 6th and just go with a regular meeting on the 13th.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
yep, I am too.
Okay, we would just need a motion to adjourn.
I'd move we adjourn.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Jenkins,
I second.
seconded by Mr. Calder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Okay. You're adjourned. Motion carries. Thank you.